cinnamon muffins, the perfect breakfast sweet or the perfect treat to have with your afternoon coffee or tea. But before we get into that, if you're new to my channel, I'm Denise Jordan, and I teach women to make wise home, health, and food decisions. So if you want to learn more about making and keeping a home, hit that subscribe button and tap that little bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Okay, let's jump into it. I wanted to make something for my neighbor. My next door neighbor had a baby a few days ago, and I wanted to take her over with some little treat, something sweet that she could have when she was just having a little bit of quiet time over a cup of coffee or a tea. Plus, she already has a little girl that's about 3.5 years old, and I thought this would be something sweet that her little girl would like and they could enjoy together when the baby is down for it. And the other thing is I wanted to make something from the ingredients that I already had in the house because I really didn't have a lot of time to run out and get something. So I wanted to make muffins from whatever I had in the pantry or in the fridge. And the cinnamon muffins turned out to be the perfect recipe to do that. They are just so delicious and they are so easy to make. Now for my young homekeepers who may not have done much baking, I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions on how to put this together. But here's something you want to think about. You're going to need 2 bowls. You're going to need 1 bowl to mix your dry ingredients in, and then another bowl to mix your wet ingredients in, and then you'll put the 2 together. So let's get that started. Now the first thing you're going to do is preheat your oven to 375 degrees, and I've already done that. And then you're going to prepare your muffin pans, and I like to use these little mini muffin pans. They are truly just like maybe 1 or 2 bites, and they'll be perfect for a little girl if her and her mom want to have a tea party. So I'm going to use this muffin tin to put the muffins in. So I need to grease the pan. And what I do is I wrap some wax paper around my hand like that, and I use some Crisco shortening and just go around each of the little muffin cups. Now some people like to use the little muffin liners, and I suppose those work. I prefer this way. And I use the wax paper on my fingers. It just keeps my hands from getting so greasy. So when they say grease a muffin pan or cake pan or whatever, this is what they mean. Take some shortening and grease the pan. Some people might like to use spray oil also. And spray oil can work, but I don't think you get quite as good of coverage. So when I'm greasing a pan, for the most part, I'll use this. And there you go. All the muffin cups are nicely greased. Now I'll set this aside and start working on my dry ingredients. So the first thing you're going to do is pour 2 cups of flour into a moderate size mixing bowl, medium to large. And then you add 1 cup of sugar, 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Not baking soda, but baking powder. And this particular measuring spoon is a Tupperware measuring spoon, and it has either 1 tablespoon and it's got a measure for 4 teaspoons. And these are wonderful measuring spoons. So if you can get your hands on a set of Tupperware measuring spoons, by all means do so. 1/2 teaspoon salt. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then we whisk that all together.
And these are our dry ingredients. And then once we get these dry ingredients mixed together, we'll create a well in the bottom of the bowl, just like this. Now that I'm done with these dry ingredients, I'm going to set them aside. And let me grab my apron. I forgot to put it on earlier, but I'm noticing that I need it. Hang on. When I start mixing those things together, I don't want to splatter my dress. And even when I put the flours together, and even when I put the flour and the sugar and all of that together, I could have used it then. So I've got the dry ingredients put aside, and now I'm going to work on the wet ingredients. And I'm going to use this pitcher bowl here to work with my wet ingredients. And what I'm going to do is add 1 cup of milk. And 1 cup of oil, or rather 1/2 cup of oil. 1 cup of milk and 1/2 cup of oil. And we're going to add 2 eggs to this as well. And then we're going to whisk this together. And I decided to use this larger pitcher bowl rather than that other mixing bowl because I could pour better. It's got a nice little pouring spout, and I really enjoy using it. Now remember the well that I showed you in the bottom of these dry ingredients. I'm going to pour the wet ingredients into the center of that well, and then I'm going to mix them together. So let me get out my spatula, and we'll do that. Now I'm going to mix those together. And what I'm going to do is just stir it or beat it until just mixed. So once all the ingredients are moistened, just going to stir these together. Don't want to overbeat them. But I'm getting a nice little cinnamon fragrance from this. And I think I like this little spatula a little bit better for this purpose than I did that spoonula. Just making sure it's all mixed. And it might be a little lumpy, but that's okay. And then once I'm satisfied with the way this is looking, I'll drop them into our prepared muffin tins. All right, this looks pretty good. I think I'll use these spoons. And we'll just fill the muffin tins a little over halfway. We don't want to get them too full that they blow their top or spill over too much, but just a little over halfway. Plus, we've still got to put our topping on. Now, my husband loves cinnamon bread, so I thought I would make some of these muffins for him as well. So I'm going to put some muffins for him in this larger muffin tin. and then use the smaller muffin tin, the little mini muffins for my neighbor. Now let's put together the cinnamon topping, sprinkle it on the top, and pop these babies in the oven. So now I'm going to go with 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and we'll whisk that together. And look how rich and brown that looks now. That's going to have great cinnamon flavor. My husband's going to love these to have with his morning breakfast, or a treat at any other time of the day. And now we'll just sprinkle this on top of the muffins. And then we will bake them in the oven until a toothpick comes out clean. So that means you'll stick a toothpick in the center. And when the toothpick comes out completely clean, you'll know it's ready. She's gonna love this sweet treat. And you know, when I had my last child, the neighbor across the street, Mrs. Lease, came over and brought me dinner. She brought me hamburger vegetable soup, an apple salad, and some homemade rolls that she had made. And she was just being neighborly. She said, I thought you might need dinner. And oh my goodness, it was just such a nice gesture. I mean, here I was with a week-old baby, 8-year-old twins, and a husband, and I certainly needed dinner for them, and just wasn't feeling my best. And when she walked in that door with that complete meal, it just really showed me what neighbors are supposed to be like. And I've not forgotten that. And so when I've had friends who've had new babies, I've taken them just something, but I've often taken that hamburger vegetable soup. But when I didn't, I might take muffins or something like that. And most recently, when I took the hamburger vegetable soup, I made corn muffins to go along with that. And if you've missed my hamburger vegetable soup recipe, I will link it below so you can check it out. It is very good, nice and hearty, and it's really great on fall days. But it's also perfect for a family dinner. So, I've got these all topped, and now it's ready to pop them in the oven. So let's do that. And remember the oven, and remember, I preheated the oven on 375, and they'll go in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes. The bigger muffin cups will take a little bit longer than the smaller ones, so I'll be sure to keep an eye on them. And then when I think they're done, I'll stick a toothpick in the center to make sure it comes out clean, and then I'll have to give one a taste. So while those are in the oven, I'll clean up the mess I've made with the things that I use to prepare the muffins. But I thought I would share with you a little tip before I start cleaning up my dishes, and it's this. So let's say you're filling a muffin pan and you don't fill all of the cups. Let's say there's a few cups that are left. So what I like to do is I'll start on this end and this end and work my way in. So let's say there's 2 cups in the middle, or 3 or 4 cups that are empty. Well, what you do is you place just about a half a cup of water, meaning a half of this cup of water in them, and that just kind of takes care of it. Let me show you what I mean. So you can see here that there is something in the bottom of most of these muffin tins. And so let's say you didn't have enough batter to fill up those 2. Well, what you would do is you would just take a cup of water and then just half fill the empty muffin cups with water. And then when you bake them, it just kind of helps everything to bake evenly. And then when you take them out of the oven, you just make sure to drain that water out first, or get all your muffins out and then pitch the water in the sink. I just thought you'd appreciate that little tip, because there's been many a time when I made muffins and I didn't fill all the muffin cups. So if you've got any empty cups, just half fill them with water and you'll be good to go. And the other thing is, you notice that I used a tin of mini muffins, and the mini muffins had like 16 little mini cups, and then I used another tin that had 6 regular size or medium to large size cups. I probably could have made 2 pans of the little mini muffins, but as I said, I wanted to have mini muffins to take to my neighbor, and then the larger muffins I wanted to make for the hubby. But typically you can get about 16 good sized muffins out of that recipe, depending upon the size of your muffin tin. And I found this recipe on a site called Taste and Tell, and she had so many other really good looking muffin recipes, so I'm definitely going to try some more. But I will link her channel below with the link to this particular muffin recipe so you can try it out, because it is just so easy. Okay, so these are out of the oven. Now let me just test them with the toothpick in the center. The toothpick is nice and clean. I'll try another one. So these little ones, these small mini ones, are certainly done. Now let's try one of the bigger ones. I think it's all done. And notice that these muffins are pretty flat. They did rise, but I'm thinking that the sugar that we sprinkled on top kept them from rising too much. And when I saw the muffins on her video, they looked pretty flat as well. So now we'll let these cool for about 10 minutes, and then I'll get them out of the pan and I will give one a taste. I've got a cup of coffee right over there that's waiting on me and this muffin. Look at these mini muffins, just nice and petite. So now let's see what they taste like. They're really good. Nice and sweet. I like the crunchy topping. And actually, they have a cinnamony, buttery flavor. And there's no butter in them, just vegetable oil, but they are very good. This is a winner. You guys have got to try it. Delicious. So I'll let them cool off, and then I'll pack them up to get ready to take to my neighbor. And whereas these are the gifts for her, let me show you what I picked up for her 3.5-year-old, just so she doesn't feel left out. I was in the checkout line at TJ Maxx when I saw this. Some little girl had left it there, and I thought, oh, this is adorable, and I knew my little neighbor would love it. So this is going to be the gift for her as her big sister gift. So now let me show you the important things that I used today, because you want to make sure you've got these things in your kitchen so that if you want to make muffins or do just about any other baking, you've got these items on hand. So I think it's important that you have a set of mini muffin pans as well as a set of large muffin pans. Then you can decide what size muffin you want depending upon the situation. So muffin pans are a necessity. The other thing you want to be sure you have is a set of mixing bowls. And I tell you what, I love these mixing bowls. They come with a set of 4. They nest, so I've got this smaller size here. The next size up is here. So you can see the different sizes that they have, and I just love them. And I didn't realize what a treasure I had until I got so many comments about these bowls. people want to know where I got them, and actually they were my grandmother's. So I got them after she passed on, and they're really not available anymore. You can find some that are similar, but these are vintage bowls, and if you go on eBay or to an antique mall, you might be able to find them. But other than that, you're probably going to want to go with something similar. And then you want to have a good set of measuring cups. Now, I've had these measuring cups forever. These are Tupperware measuring cups, and I really like them. The orange one that goes with this set has disappeared, and all the green ones have disappeared. This is what I've got left, but you've got a 1/4 cup, 1/3 cup, 1/2 cup, 3/4 cup, and 1 cup. And this is what you tend to get when you get these kind of nesting cups. Either Tupperware, and if you can find a good pair, or rather a good set of Tupperware cups, buy them. And then these I picked up because I just fell in love with them. They were just so beautiful. I saw Diva designing on a dime cooking something, and she had this little picture. She was using the 1 cup size, and I love pretty pictures. I had to order these right away. So now the difference though with these ceramic measuring cups, you'll get 1/4 cup, 1/3 cup, 1/2 cup, and 1 cup. There's no 3/4 cup in the set, so you just have to kind of put that together yourself, which you can do the math. And this is the Pioneer Woman set, and I don't usually like a lot of Pioneer Woman stuff because it's just too colorful, but this was a game changer. Had to get it. And then this is another one of those ceramic cups, and you can see they just come like 4 in a set. And you've got your 1/4 cup, your 1/3 cup, 1/2 cup, and then your 1 cup size. And they're very nice. They're very easy to work with. But they're probably not as easy to use as something like this. So you just need a good set of measuring cups. Doesn't have to be those fancy ones. Something nice, practical, functional is fine. You also need a good set of measuring spoons, and I've got several, but this is my go-to. I've had this one for, I don't know, at least 10 years. And I've got another set that I probably had more than 20 years, and these are Tupperware. There's a couple of spoons missing from this set. Don't know what happened to it, but typically this one has all of the spoons with it. And with your Tupperware sets, you will get some spoon sizes that you may not get in some of the other sets. For example, you've got a 1/8 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, 1.5 teaspoon, 1 tablespoon, and then 4 teaspoons. So you can use the 1 tablespoon for the inner measure, but the outer measure gives you 4 teaspoons. And you don't often find this variety in one set. So if you can find a set of Tupperware measuring spoons, pick them up. And then this is just a little spoonula, and I used it to start out with my stirring, and then I switched over to this kind of little spatula. Just something simple. One of these would do fine, but I like the way this one feels more once it really starts to mix together. And something as simple as a spoon like this would work for the beating of it together, or a wooden spoon. So those are the things that I use, and I will link these items below or something similar just in case you want to check them out. These muffins really turned out quite nicely. I know my neighbor is going to love them, and I think you will love them too. So give them a try, and then drop me a comment and let me know how they worked out for you. And if you liked this video, I've got some other videos that I think you will enjoy. I've made some other muffin recipes, and I'll link those above and link those below. But I'm thinking you might also enjoy my hamburger vegetable soup recipe that I mentioned that Mrs. Elise brought over for me. as well as my Thanksgiving 101 playlist, where I teach you how to roast a turkey, how to make my famous mac and cheese, how to make candied sweet potatoes, and so many other things you will want on your table for the Thanksgiving holiday. And let me also take this opportunity to thank Taste and Tell about posting such a wonderful and simple cinnamon muffin recipe. And as I said earlier, I'll make sure to link it below so that you can check it out as well. And just so you know, I've raised 3 children. I've managed a home for more than 45 years. So if you want to learn more about making and keeping a home, subscribe. I would love to have you as a member of the TNT community. In the meantime, this is Denise Jordan saying goodbye. I will see you in the next video.